My family went bankrupt. Our father gave my sister and I two options. One was to marry into the Whites family through an alliance. The other was to take over the company and clean up the mess. In my previous life, Mona wanted the rich socialite lifestyle and chose to marry into the Whites. She ended up being brutally tortured by her husband, leaving her disfigured and disabled. I, on the other hand, relied on my talent for business to bring the company back from the brink. For a while, I was riding high and had everything going for me. Mona grew insanely jealous of me. At the company's IPO launch event, she stormed into the venue carrying gasoline and set me on fire. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment when our father gave us the choice. This time, Mona rushed to stand in front of me. "Dad, let Laura marry into the Whites," she said. "She's been spoiled since she was little. She can't handle a hard life. I'll stay with you and face everything that's coming." I couldn't help laughing. Oh, my silly little sister. Staying would be far more miserable than marrying into the Whites. In truth, the one originally engaged to the Whites had always been me. But my parents couldn't bear to see their most cherished youngest daughter suffer. So they used the excuse of letting us choose freely to pressure me into giving in. Family bonds meant a lot to me, and they knew that. Under my parents' emotional pressure, I handed the comfortable life to Mona. But after Mona married Jonah, she turned her back on her own family. When I brought our parents to visit and asked Jonah when the investment would come through, Mona stopped us. Dressed head to toe in luxury, she looked at me with contempt, her red lips moving slowly. "Laura, you've always had better grades than me. And you're more capable, too. You're more than enough to revive the company on your own. The Whites only look glamorous on the surface, but the truth is, we're tight on cash, too. You wouldn't want to drag me down, right?" I thought my parents would explode in anger. Instead, they turned to me with troubled faces. Their tone sounded like a plea, but their eyes left no room for refusal. They said to me, "You see how hard life is for Jonah, too. The Whites already kept their promise and let them get married. Let's not trouble them anymore. After all, Mona still has to live with the Whites. If we keep pushing, they'll look down on her." I swallowed the bitterness rising in my chest. In this family, it felt like I was the only villain, just so Mona wouldn't lose face in the Whites household. I bit the bullet and carried the company on my own. I once drank until my stomach bled in the middle of the night just to land a project connected to Mona. While hooked up to N4 in the hospital, I got a call from a client, pulled the needle out, and rushed straight over. Hard work eventually paid off. The company finally came back to life. Meanwhile, Mona was abused by Jonah until she became disabled. At the IPO launch event, Mona charged into the venue carrying gasoline and burned me alive. Through the flames, I saw her twisted eyes glaring at me with hatred. "Laura, why do you get to rise and succeed while I'm stuck scraping by in the gutter? If I'm going to hell, you're coming with me." The fire devoured every inch of my skin, but I saw it clearly. My parents rushed into the flames to save Mona without hesitation. My heart crumbled to ash as I shut my eyes. "Mona, you really need to think this through. Our family isn't what it used to be. If you stay, you'll only suffer." My mother's voice pulled me out of those painful memories. I saw her holding Mona's hand tightly, her eyes full of reluctance and heartache. I remembered it clearly. In my last life, when Mona chose to live a good life, my parents' eyes had been filled with satisfaction. They didn't even bother saying a single word to comfort me. Of course, in their eyes, I was 1 year older than Mona, so I was supposed to give in to her in everything. I was the one who was meant to suffer. It had always been that way, ever since we were kids. Mona spoke with righteous passion. "Mom, I know you love me, but I've grown up. Laura has never been able to handle hardship since she was little." Before she could finish, Mona's voice choked up. She glanced at me timidly, as if I had threatened her. In the end, she swallowed the rest of her sentence. I sneered